Now, I like to blame Gillen for this whole assassination attempt on Charles Xavier, but maybe it's not even him. Maybe it's Jet McKay, because he's taking over in the summertime. Maybe he went to Gillen and was like, you know what, I don't feel like dealing with that bald-headed bastard, so why don't you take him out in your story? Like, not only did he kill Rachel, but on top of that, he's talking about preserving the dream. The dream was to have mutants and humans exist side by side together in peaceful harmony. Soon as you start taking out humans, that dream's done. Like, it's over. You're Magneto. And with Magneto, at least we know that's what comes with him. And Charles fought against that for decades. And now all of a sudden it's okay. And I know we're trying to stop the Dominion and everything else, but it's always something that's going to take out the Earth. I mean, these are comic books. There's always a big bad out there that's going to take out the world. I mean, that's what happens. But Charles never ever wavered on his morals until now. And it continues in this book. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of the Fall of the House of X with Rise of the Power of X number 4. So the story starts off in No Place X, where there is a whole bunch of Enigma Sentinels that surrounding the little ship in No Place X. And all you hear is Xavier no, as Charles is fresh off of killing Rachel. Now, to Rasputin IV's credit, she didn't waste a nanosecond getting to the business of killing Charles Xavier. She grabs that sword and swings for the fences, well, his head. And to give Charles Xavier credit, he actually got out the way. So he goes, I'm sorry, they ain't gonna cut it here, homeboy. So then Charles is like, Mother Righteous, you got the power to stop her, right? If you do, I'll free you. Mother Righteous didn't even bat an eyelash. She goes, I'm in, sweetie, says some kind of incantation, and freezes her right before Rasputin IV sends that sword through Charles's chest. So then Charles is like, normally I would thank somebody for what you just did, but you see why I don't. Mother Righteous is like, you catching on? Charles goes, slowly, and I am catching on. And he goes, we need to move in position. Rasputin IV, I turned off your pain receptors. Because of your gift, it makes you really durable, so it's going to take us a while. And starts blasting her in her head multiple times. So Rasputin IV finally falls, and Charles is like, you find this amusing? And Mother Righteous is like, no, I just had some time thinking that bubble. I actually figured out a way to dissolve my doppelganger that's in the white hot room, so you're no longer pointing a gun to my head. And believe it or not, that's actually very important. That's why I brung it up right here. So, I mean, you'll see in the next video. So then Charles is like, yeah, well, I'm pretty sure you're going to figure out a way to betray me, but right now you can't do anything because you're out of power from your Dominion attempt. The Mother Righteous is like, I'm a resourceful girl. I'll figure out a way to be useful. And Charles is like, you already have. Next thing you know, he hits something on the screen. Mother Righteous is like, what are you doing? They go from No Place X back to the Pacific side of Krakoa. Ship's all wrecked. She's knocked out. And Charles is like, I have her. So now we're in an Orchis facility. Charles is tied up, and Omega Sentinel comes up because she's just shocked and wants to see exactly why Charles is here. This is pretty much a conversation before the conversation of Fall of House of X, in a nutshell. And pretty much it's the same conversation that Charles had with Nimrod that he's having with Omega Sentinel. So technically he had the conversation with Omega Sentinel before he had the conversation with Nimrod. I know it's very confusing. But in essence, he wants to help the AIs by taking out the humans as long as the AIs leave the mutants alone. In a nutshell. Omega Sentinel's like, so what are you going to do to prove your loyalty? And he's like, I'm Charles Xavier. Technically, I am the ultimate Sentinel. So now we cut to White Hot Room and the Five bring back Rachel. And the first thing out of Rachel's mouth is, hey, Charles Xavier killed me. He's going to do something terrible. And then you got Destiny. And she goes, we know. God, Destiny would get on my nerves if she was like a real person. Like, holy crap. Like, you could have let me know that Charles was going to do all this craziness because you saw it, you know, and he could have been like, hey, Rachel, we need to get your White Hot Room, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna kill you. All right, you know, just tell her, not just, you know, shoot her in the back and there you go. Because me personally, if I'm Rachel and I got back, I'll be putting my Omega level foot straight up his ass. So obviously Rachel is hot. It's not just her hair on fire, but she's also pissed, and she's just floating in the air. And then Hope and Exes go up there to try to comfort her, and then Hope's like, look, none of us like this. And I'm sorry we couldn't tell you, but obviously you know why we couldn't. But now that you're here, hopefully you can kickstart the Phoenix to kick Enigma's ass. And then we could go down there and we can kick whatever's ass left of Orcus. So Rachel, she's coming around. She's still pissed, but she's coming around. And she's like, you know what? I can't help out with the Phoenix, but I can't help as far as getting us out of here. Like, I can't get us out the White Hot Room. And then Hope's like, we got a plan for that. Let me just say the hits, they just keep on coming. On the next page, we see Omega Sentinel taking Charles Xavier through his paces. She's pretty much like, we can't get rid of all of the human scientists. We got to keep some around. But I want to know which ones are planning to betray us. So Professor X goes, give me a second. These are the ones. So then Nimrod does his Nimrod thing and takes out the scientists and then starts laughing about it. So then Charles is like, what next? And then Omega Sentinel's like, world leaders are starting to organize against us. We need you to do something about that. Professor Xavier was like, okay. I added a cognitive drain to them all. Not enough to have them replaced, but enough to render them useless. So Professor Xavier is like, all right, what's next? And Omega Sentinel is like, well, you might as well go ahead and find that little island of yours, Krakoa, and go ahead and put out his misery. And Professor Xavier is like, I'm disappointed. I thought that, you guys being our superiors, that you wouldn't gloat. So Omega Sentinel's like, don't you try that with me. I'm from the future. I know what happens, and the mutants kill us all. Genocide doesn't have a side. Besides, the future is what you make it. Now, if you come to gloat, I would have expected Moira to do it. And then we cut to Moira. And she's like, wow, we got Xavier. He's selling out humanity for the mutants. No more humans. I can't believe it. And then Enigma's like, don't trust it. Like, he knows about me. He's up to something. And Moira's like, so I can't go talk to him? And Enigma's like, absolutely not. And we cut back to the White Hot Room. And we have the dead X-Men. I'm really going to have to figure out a new name for them because they're not the dead X-Men no more. And Rachel and the walking Jean, or the Phoenix, and they're walking around to like this funeral pyre. And then Rachel kisses her on the head and says, good luck, Mom. I'll see you soon. And then walks away. So now Hope is having a meeting with the rest of the mutants that's there. And they're pretty much saying how Apocalypse has Krakoa, but he's on the run and he's going to need some help. And they're going to need to be there. Pretty much be the cavalry for, the X-Men, since there's a lot of them. And Hope's like, and there's only one way for us to do this. Now, you see Rasputin, they brought her back. And when she turns around and see what their plan is and who's involved in it, she loses her shit. It is our tried and true original Sinister, and I guess he still has Doug Ramsey's powers, which is Cypher. So he's able to talk to Krakoa. And Rasputin jumps right up on him and gets right back to doing what she was doing last time, and that's killing him. I mean, she is choking this dude out, and he is trying to plead his case. She ain't trying to hear it. And he goes, look, if we get us back and we do what we need to do after that, you can kill me. Or maybe I'll redeem myself. And she goes, you won't. And he goes, you're learning. Then we cut to Earth, and we got Apocalypse. And he is running for his apocalyptic life because there's just a few more Sentinels than he can fight off. So he decided to run. So he needs some help, and he needs some help quick. So all of a sudden, from one of these huge plants that's on Krakoa, it says falls over. And then we turn to the next page, and all these X-ladies are just coming out of these flowers, and they're like, spring is here. So then Omega Sentinel goes to Professor Xavier and is like, do you want to know how many humans you killed so far? And Professor Xavier's like, not particularly. And then Omega Sentinel's like, well, your X-Men are trying to destroy our solar weapon. If they succeed, then we're going to need an alternative plan, which, if you read Fall of the House of X #4, they did. So, spoiler alert. Or you could just check it out right here. And so Omega Sentinel's like, we're going to need an alternative. And Professor Xavier's like, I've already got the nuclear codes. So, whenever you're ready, I got them. And then he goes, for once, the mutants need to be on the winning side. But then he sees Moira. So then we cut to Rachel and Exodus, and they are tearing up some Stark Sentinels. And Rachel's kind of looking at Exodus, and she still doesn't really trust him because not the last time they met, but, Exodus used to be a villain, like a really bad villain. And Rachel remembers that. So She's still kind of like standoffish when it comes to Exodus. But she's like, as long as you're doing this for the mutants and for Krakoa, I'll trust you. Then we cut to Mother Righteous, and she is in an Orcus prison facility, and she is sweating like a hooker in church. And she should be, because Enigma pays her a visit, asks her some questions, and she sings like a canary. I mean, she didn't hold back anything. So once he finds out that they're trying to bring back the Phoenix, Enigma hops on the Dominion phone and calls up other Dominions, like, you know, they're a messenger or something. And he's like, hey, they're trying to bring back the Phoenix. If they do, can I get your help, please? Like, that's not what an all-powerful being is supposed to do. And he is waiting on a response from him. And then we see Jean, and it says wait on response. And now she's on fire. She's waiting on a response. And now she's surrounded by fire. And it says contact. If the Phoenix returns, we will all come. Ain't that about a bitch?